Now let's move on to the news.
All right.
Come on, Baldric. Okay, Ben.
Right, my lord. The first thing in the news is going to be some Age of Sigmar updates.
Okay.
And then maybe turnips.
Wonderful. Right, Age of Sigmar turnips.
The turnip army is coming.
Ben, tell us about these Age of Sigmar turnips.
It is the mortal realm, so turnips could definitely be a thing. But anyway, yes, so this is going to be a little bit of a jumping around one, Justin, so be prepared for the link jumping. It's going to be crazy.
Okay.
But we're starting things off with some stuff that was new from the Age of Sigmar. Now, you might have to scroll down a little bit in that main post, and there's also some extra links there you can check to as well, Justin. But they have been showing off some of the new stuff that's coming for both the Forces of Order and the Forces of Death in Age of Sigmar 2nd edition. So, in June for this year, we're going to be seeing 2 new sort of factions coming down to the tabletop. We've got the Sacrosanct Chamber for the Forces of Order underneath the Stormcast Eternals, and also the Night Haunt, which are a range of undead creatures for the Order of Death. And this all comes, as I say, around the idea of Age of Sigmar 2nd edition. So they're going to be taking the game, looking at it in its entirety, refining things, tweaking things, making it so that the game plays out more cinematically and everything like that. Some of the big stuff they've talked about so far is they're going to be pushing forward the narrative. So they're going to be looking towards what was called malign portents that has been happening over the last couple of months. This has been when Death rose up, and he's been starting to Nagash himself has been starting to make his way into the mortal realms to try and take over as much as he can. And this has obviously had repercussions for everything else in the world of Age of Sigmar. And so these are the 2 big main factions now. You've got the Forces of Order under Sigmar himself, and you've got Nagash and his Forces of Death too. One of the other big things they've been talking about as well with this is they're going to be putting a real emphasis on magic and adding more of that into the game world. So it's proper cinematic magical effects for your gaming tables, which is pretty cool. So there's actually going to be proper models that will sit down the table and be in effect those spells that you've just cast. So you'll see magical vortexes and all kind of things whirling across the tabletop. And they're basically expanding on what they did with Age of Sigmar so far and adding on to that. So that's a pretty massive coming forward for Age of Sigmar there, seeing as we're looking forward towards a new edition, which is going to be pretty interesting. I think they've taken a lot of feedback on what's been happening with this from the community as well, because there is a very, very vibrant Age of Sigmar community, and they've been working with them to try and make this the best that they can. So that's pretty cool indeed for a starting point for what happened at Warhammer Fest this weekend. So, yeah.
I am actually loving the look of a lot of this stuff, especially the stuff for Nagash's groups. I love me ghosts. I absolutely love my ghosts, and that gallows ghost in particular caught my eye.
Yeah, it's quite the combination. Do you want me to call it up again for
Yeah,
you?
bring it up, bring it up.
Come to me, my little friend.
There he is. If he is your little friend, I fear for you.
He just wants a ghost hug. You can't feel it, but it's there.
Okay, that is mildly disturbing. If Casper looks like that, I would actually watch Casper. That would be amazing.
You do realise by now Casper's probably grown up, and that's probably him when he's got a hangover?
He hasn't grown up, he's a ghost. They can't grow up. The other ghosts that really caught my eye were the ones that are most definitely undead Skaven.
These?
Yes. These guys. I mean,
yeah, so they've been doing a really fascinating thing with the aesthetic for everything we're seeing here for the Night Haunt, and they're actually looking towards these other races, as you were saying there, Sam. So it's going to be really cool to see what they do, and if they bring in some elves or some Duarden as well into the mix too, that could be kind of cool. So yeah.
Now, is that something we've really seen much of before, seeing other races turned into undead?
This was the thing I was going to bring up. The only time I can remember seeing undead other races in Games Workshop was a Regiment of Renown from the old...
It was Richter Kruger's Cursed Company.
That was it. The Cursed Company.
See, I mean, like, I know I've seen, like, in some board games you'll have, like, the odd undead dwarf or something. Dungeon Saga, I think. But I haven't really seen it widespread.
No, it's something that actually has always annoyed me when it comes to undead in
it's just
fantasy.
Dead humans.
Yeah. Now, I want to see all the other species. I used to have an undead lizard man from the Cursed Company. I had one of those figures. And it was so characterful to see this collection of skeletons from the different factions all together.
Yeah. It's a cool idea. Well played, Games Workshop. Very well played.
Yeah. So we'll move on to some of the extra news that came out of this as well. There's a couple more pieces that we want to cover. The first of these is the announcement that the Specialist Game Studio are going to be bringing Adeptus Titanicus to the tabletop.
Oh.
So you'll be able to bring your Imperial Knights and your Titans down onto the tabletop in, I think it's around 6 mil-ish, I think.
Yeah, something like
with
that.
some really cool looking models, some awesome terrain as well. And they said that they've done a lot of work on this, building up the game and everything around it to create this as a huge experience for people. They've really gone back to what people love from Epic. They've taken across all these things like the Titans and the Knights, as we just said there, and they're going to be bringing them down to the table for some really cool cinematic battles and stuff like that. I believe they're going to be doing, I think it's 2 different versions of the box. So there's one which is called like this like extreme epic version, which comes with loads of really cool stuff in it. I'm not entirely sure on the actual name of it anyway, and then there's another one which is a little bit more of a core product that you'll see on the store for a sort of extended period of time. But yeah, Adeptus Titanicus is coming back, and apparently it's very, very cool indeed from what people have been saying at Warhammer Fest. So.
Well, I actually did see on Facebook, there were actually pictures of a couple of people actually holding the Knight models. And the Knights are maybe about 2.5 inches tall. So I mean, like, I think 6 mil, you're about right there, Ben. So it's something that those big models are still reasonably sized for you to get some paint down on. The reason I don't do 6 mil, I don't want to paint with a toothpick. So if I got something, it's 6 mil, fine, but the thing's meant to be about 20 foot tall or 15 foot tall, I'm okay with this. I'm okay with this.
So this means we need to get you on that 6 mil painting challenge we've been talking about.
Oh no, I don't want to. I don't want to.
That's exactly why. It's for people who don't want to. Yeah. Very exciting news to see that moving into that that scale again. Something else I see here is a new Dark Elf Blood Bowl team, and we caught a glimpse of that earlier.
Yeah, because Ben put the links in the wrong order.
It was because I was blogging away as Warhammer Fest was happening over the weekend, and so I was filling this in, and so things are updated on a different schedule and all that kind of thing like that. So I told you there'd be some jumping around, Justin. So it's okay.
All right, so
that's you told.
I do not accept this. Anyway, the Blood Bowl team. These look really nice. The sculpts are so sharp on these, and yeah, with it being the elves, I expect them to be a little bit spiky. And they are most definitely spiky.
And as well as the Dark Elf team that we see there, they've also shown off some of the bits and pieces in the past couple of days as well. They're going to be doing a whole bunch more themed pitches too. So if you like the idea of having a pitch that's themed around your particular faction, then there's going to be some awesome stuff for you to go and pick up on that front as well. And then we're going to jump straight into the next thing, which is for Warhammer 40,000. And of course, one of the big things they talked about earlier in the year was they're going to be doing Sisters of Battle in 2019. And the first render for the Sister of Battle has been shown off at Warhammer Fest last weekend. So this is going to be a model that's going to be available for order before the main release of everything else, just to tie people over so you can test out your paint schemes and stuff. But I am loving the look of this, and it's going to be really, really damn hard to not do an Adeptus Sororitas army when it comes out in 2019 and get stuck back into some 40k. So yeah,
I'm going to say this now: the sculptors who went back and reworked this, I love what you've done with the proportions of this miniature. I remember the old Sisters of Battle, they were really like wasp waist, really unrealistic.
That's true,
This has some beautiful real life proportions to it, which are really just doing it for me. I'm loving it. Absolutely loving it.
It is a superb miniature, and you get all that great gothic detail. It almost looks like she's wearing a cathedral.
Yes.
You know, they are essentially walking pillars of faith.
Yeah.
So, you know, why not make the armor a cathedral?
Yeah, it's
whenever you hear that the largest titans are essentially, you know, walking cathedrals or imperial cities.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
No, it's something I think actually works a lot, especially for this. And the armor is different enough. I remember when I first, back in the early days of the Sisters of Battle, I always thought, oh, it's female Space Marines. No, this looks like something very different, unique, and stylish to themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the last little piece of news that came out of this, just for now, there was a lot more stuff that happened as well, and we're going to touch on it a little bit later in the news as well. But the last thing I want to talk about is some stuff for Lord of the Rings. Now, the Specialist Game Studio, we're also talking about this in great detail, and they showed off some of the new models they've been working out for the faction of Minas Tirith, so the Kingdom. in Lord of the Rings. So they have shown off a range of very, very nice looking Dol Amroth knights there that you can see, as well as some really cool miniatures for some of the characters they're going to be bringing out as well. So they're going to be looking into things that are included not just necessarily in the movies, but also the books. And they did stress as well that there's a lot of stuff they have to go through when it comes to the hoops they jump through when it comes to creating models for the tabletop for this. So you might have to wait a little bit of time for them, but they are definitely coming. So the first one there is the mounted character who's called Hurin, and then there's also Ingold as well. Now these are two characters that existed within the timeline of the books and everything like that. For example, Ingold himself was effectively one of the cool custodians that rode out in defense of Gondor and stuff like that as well, which is really cool. And some of the sculpting for this is really, really nice too. I love the more sort of action-packed poses they're going for as well. And we've really seen Forge World step up their game when it comes to the models for Lord of the Rings as well over the last couple of months or so. I've seen like a real improvement in the detail and also the painting of the models that we see on their website as well, which is really nice. Not to say that, you know, I could ever get to the lot of many of the people that paint for these studios and stuff, but it's been really cool to see them adding a little bit more pizzazz onto the different models there as well. They also showed off some of the cool orc models they're going to be putting into the range as well there. So you might recognize that guy with the skull on his head from when Aragorn and the three hunters themselves jump off the boat at Pelennor Field as well. So there's some really cool stuff coming out for Middle Earth and Lord of the Rings in general. So hopefully we're going to see this going from strength to strength over the next couple of months towards the end of the year and into 2019 as well. I do believe they're going to be doing some really cool stuff based around the idea of the battles. So we're going to have some stuff around the Siege of Osgiliath and also the Battle of Pelennor Fields as well. So keep an eye out for that. It's going to be cool.
Yeah,
so,
that's wonderful. I absolutely love how much they're bringing stuff back to Middle Earth with this. Yeah, as I've said on previous weekenders, I've recently gotten into Lord of the Rings. So seeing it start to get this support is really encouraging.
It's one of those games that it had that core of fans who were just starved for ages and ages, and now that you went from famine to feast, and they're just eating it up. They're loving it.
It does need more hobbits, though. This is a fact. It needs more hobbits.
I'm not even starting that argument.